Hello and welcome to another episode of Unapologetically Rich. I'm your host, Shamina Taylor. And today I have one of the most amazing women I have ever met, and her name is Elena Cardone. She has done extraordinary things. And you know why I wanted to bring Elena on is because she's a woman who literally has created her own reality. She didn't grow up with a lot, and she has done so many amazing things in this world. She's an amazing mother, amazing businesswoman, an amazing wife. And I do believe that she's the epitome of a woman who can have it all. And I wanted you guys to get to know her, so I've brought her on my show. Welcome today, Elena. Welcome to Unapologetically Rich, the show for high-achieving women who refuse to settle. I've helped over 51 women become millionaires and multimillionaires. You're next. I'm here to unlock the next level of wealth, freedom, fulfillment, and feminine power. So hit the follow button, share this with every woman who needs to hear it, and get ready, because every week we're diving deep and rising higher. This is the Unapologetically Rich Show. Are you ready? Let's get to it.
Yes! Thank you for that amazing introduction.
Yeah, you're just...
And for all you're doing for women out there.
Thank you. I received that.
You're welcome.
And I know it wasn't easy for you to get here today. Elena is at her level where she's like, I just want to be close to where I am. So I do want to say thank you for making the trip all the way out to Miami, because she is not close to here. So I appreciate that.
Oh, no problem.
I was on Elena's podcast about a year ago, a little over a year ago. When I walked into her studio, which is very beautiful, by the way, I said, Elena, my show is going to be one of the best shows that you had. Didn't I say that?
Oh, yeah, you did.
And our shit went viral.
Oh, yes, it did, because you were so good.
Thank you.
That was a great episode.
It was really good.
Yeah.
I want you guys to learn from Elena today, though, because I believe that she is the epitome of unapologetically rich and wealthy. And it's not just about money. It's about what you can create and do in this lifetime. And one of the things that I love about you is the way you leverage your time. Like, you are not someone that, time is a big thing for her. So her being here today, I completely appreciate. But tell me, you didn't always, you were a girl, I know you were born in Spain, but you're a girl that grew up in Louisiana. Can you just share a little bit about your story of how, I know you've been around for a long time, but I would love everybody to hear that it wasn't, what you see now with her, she had to create this. She didn't start there.
For sure. I am definitely a reinvent yourself queen. I grew up in New Orleans, and a happy childhood. Someone of my age, we were out in the streets and riding our bicycles, and I was a typical little tomboy. This was when the streets were safe, not like kids can have that freedom these days. But yeah, up until around 13 years old, just kind of a very kind of normal, good childhood. And then my best friend who lived across the street, her home caught on fire, and her mother perished in the house. Oh. And it was just very devastating for me. It's not something, when they recovered, they call it recovering the body. I happened to see that, and it was it was very unconfrontable for me to even know that a human body could look like that. And so in my family, we didn't really talk about emotions very much. I think that was just maybe the era. My father was a World War II hero, so the concept was just we just don't talk about things, and you just move forward.
Yeah.
So, but I couldn't move forward. Like, I had this, I've never experienced pain like that since, even when my own father passed away. I mean, I feel like I knew it was coming, and it was painful, and I dealt with it, but it wasn't like what I experienced at that young age, and not having an outlet or knowing what to do with that incredible devastation and non-confront. I made the decision to self-medicate. And so I started doing drugs at 13 and copious amounts of alcohol and partying. And, consequently, 8 more friends perished, because when you're running around in that kind of environment, in the drug, I was punk rock. My sister had a 2-foot white mohawk. I had a half a shaved head.
What?
Yeah, I had my hair in kind of like dreadlocks, but it was more like one giant knot. You picked up one piece and the whole thing came up. But yeah, So yeah, it was suicide, overdose.
Really?
4 of them died in a car accident one night because of drugs and alcohol. So it was just a very crazy childhood from 13 until eventually I moved out on my own at 17. Moved to Los Angeles to become a model and an actress. My parents were terrified. They were afraid I was going to go get hooked onto drugs. So I sat them down and I was like, name a drug other than cocaine or heroin, because those were like the no drugs. So I've never done those 2 drugs.
Same.
And so then I said, look, I've done it all. I'm actually going to try to make something of myself. And so I moved to Los Angeles at 17. I knew no one and just kind of started my life. And at that point, I was very jaded and guarded. I had been hurt, so no one could get into my heart to hurt me again, because I was like a wall of steel.
You had that shield up.
Shield up. I was like, no one's getting me, And then I became this independent, powerful woman, never depend on a man for anything. And so I lived that life from 17 to 30 until I eventually married my husband, Grant Cardone. He broke me down, the only man that was able and capable of doing that to me. And since I've married him, it took 4 years into the marriage to realize, wow, now I'm in a marriage, but I can't depend on him, because God forbid I'll betray every feminist around the world. That's weak. They even call it codependent.
Oh, yeah.
And then I started to really just, when I was in my mid-30s, we were on the verge of losing everything financially. It was 2008. I was pregnant with my first daughter at this point. Sabrina. And that's when I had to make a decision, like, what are my values? What are my beliefs? Not what I think I'm supposed to do to live up to this woman code of these women I've never even met. They just kind of existed in my head.
What society was
placing
like inside of you?
Yeah, what I felt like, we should work, we shouldn't, like I didn't, plus I was in the industry, like, I was wanting to be an actress, and so I was on TV shows, and I just felt like men were a weakness, families were a weakness. If you became a mom, now you're not as desirable, you're not going to get as much work.
Or important.
Yeah. Oh, you're just a mom. Like, I remember I actually said that one time.
Wow.
Anyway, but I started to look at what do I believe in? And then I took another 180 and said, no, I'm going to depend on my husband, because this is where we want to go. These are the goals. This is what I'm going to do to help us get there. This is what he's going to do to help us get there. I depend on him to execute on what we assigned him to do at 100%. And he depends on me to execute 100% on what I'm going to do to get us there. And because of that, that's when we actually started making movements. Huge movements. It felt slow, but it was actually, when you look back in hindsight, how fast it was is just unreal. But the first 4 years of our marriage, when I was this independent, powerful woman, never depending on a man, especially not even my husband, we were building on our own thing, because God forbid we share a thing and get stronger together. But what ended up happening when we were each doing our own thing, we'd come home and kind of fight for the power position. So that was the game. The game was like,
That's what a lot of women do right now, though.
And that's fine if that's the game you want to play.
I don't think it is it, though, for many of them.
But most people don't know anything other, and they're scared. It is scary. I'm not going to lie.
Because you were giving up your power or something. It was like one of the things where, like, I'm going to be super in this marriage and vulnerable. Like, you had to be all in when you made that decision.
You do have to be all in, and I was willing to have egg on my face. Like, okay, so I had to weigh out all my options. Well, I can go all in. I married him, so if I married him, I must trust him.
Exactly.
And if I married someone that I can't trust, then I have to go reassess myself, because why am I marrying someone that's going to two-time me or leave me or whatever? Like, that's on me.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So I looked at it, I was like, okay, take worst case scenario, and he does all of that. I'm like, okay, yeah, so I'm a chick from New Orleans. I'm a cat. I'm gonna land on my feet. I might look stupid and have to heal up from some wounds, but I'm always going to be able to take care of me.
You let your guard down though going in.
I did. It was terrifying. And sometimes it still is, you know,
imagine.
because like, you know, it's bigger now. It's a bigger game. I'm like, shit, you know, but I don't quit and he doesn't quit and we're not quitting on each other. And we've only gotten stronger the more that we've achieved together. It makes me love him even more every time he has my back, you know, and helps me to achieve my goals.
Yeah. But it's work. Marriage is work.
Marriages work.
And those 4
and
years.
there's ebbs and flows. You know,
course.
sometimes it feels like, oh my God, this is so easy. This is so great. And then like, you hit another little bump.
When you let your guard down, you went all in. Did you find that version of Elena changed, like who you were? Like, did you see like you said you reinvent yourself. Do you feel like there was another level of you that was waiting to come out and wow, I'm so happy that I did kind of thing,
Totally. You know, I said this in my last 10X GrowthCon speech, maybe 2 years ago. But like, I feel like Grant has always been Grant. And like, he's just become more Grant and just, but me, I've gone, whoop. I went from, I'm going to do my own career, never depend on a man, to now I'm depending on a man and I'm helping to assist him, which is us, to achieve this level because he was closer to getting us there than I was. And I could confront that and the isness of that. You know, had I been more successful, maybe he would have had to support me in that.
Right, absolutely.
Do you know what I'm saying? But that wasn't the case at that time. So I had to confront going from, okay, now I'm going to let my guard down and actually trust somebody and risk getting hurt again and all of that. Psychological, whatever.
Well, and I know that she's got the same birthday as my daughter, June 27th. And I know you cancers are really emotional too. So it's like being able to like let anybody feel or see all that emotion. It was like, it's a big deal, like, you know, for her to do that. Yeah. Anybody.
Well, it is. It was a big deal.
Yeah.
And so I made a 180 from there and then a 180 back to, you know, trading in my career for us and him. And then going all over again with kids. And becoming a mother, like that was a massive, like, you know, because it took another hurdle to come over that, oh God, I'm going to be a mom. Like, because I had thought, and I had hung out with people who I feel like kind of diminished that role a lot. Like, it's not important. Like, you need to make your own money or you're not really powerful and children set you back. So it was another hurdle that I had to, and then when I finally had the kids, I loved being a mom, but I still felt smaller.
Like who's Elena still,
like
right?
the identity, like, oh God, like, you know, fighting for some sort of importance or something. And
relevance.
like somehow that motherhood I didn't allow it to give myself. And I also had a realization, I'll never say I'm just a mom. I never will tolerate it. And eventually, I think we're going to get to a place in society where, just like the military or first responders, when people say thank you for your service, I think women will get, or mothers in particular, will get to the point where random people will thank us for our service. Because think about it, like without us, civilization ceases to exist.
Yes,
like
it does.
we could end it all if we're not promoting family and children. Like society is trying to shut us down and separating. I think there's an agenda to separate men and women and pit them against each other and be on birth control pills and not have kids and go do a career to, like, you know, handle the population of the people that, you know, are up there in the world being the puppet masters that want to control population. But that's a different conspiracy, which turns out all of these conspiracy theories aren't so conspiratorial anymore, are they?
No, being a mom is one of my greatest hats that I wear in my life. Like, to me, it's like my children are my everything, as yours are too. Sabrina just celebrated her 16th birthday and looked like it was a hell of an event. And she just, I mean, seeing my kids happy is like
the best.
Everything for me.
And when they're upset, like it crushes me. And if they're mad at me or if I'm in a conflict, I mean, it's like it like crushes my soul. Like, I've never had such assets and liabilities as a kid, because they're my biggest assets and my biggest liabilities. They can ruin me.
There's no one that triggers you more than your child.
Exactly.
Like, if there's anything you wanted to figure out what's going on, your child will show you. Like, that's where it is. You know, you chose to homeschool your kids, which I think is amazing, and like the experiences that they get to go on. And I mean, listening to Sabrina speak, you can tell that child was so loved and exposed. Like she's beyond her 16 years of age. Like she's speaking as if she's in her 20s, and she knows who she is. And it's I love that, because that's the next generation of women that we're putting out into the world, and like the legacy that you're leaving behind. And she has big shoes to fill. It's not just mom, but dad, and the legacy of your 10X, what you guys stand for. And when you're looking at your children, and I know that you and Grant, because I've been around you for a minute, you guys have different roles, and you're in charge of the kids at home. Like that's one of the things that you are. And being a mom though, and being able to run your 10X ladies and do your thing, like how do you find the balance in the two to still be present? Like, is it a priority? Like the kids trump everything, or is there a balance? Like what is it? What does it look for you, and what are you doing?
Well, it's interesting because I've evolved too, but it wasn't always the kids trump everything. Now, the kids trump everything in an emergency situation,
of course,
absolutely. Right. But I was at a point where I was like, the kids kind of got to a point where they got a little older, so I started to do more. I did all these masterminds. I did my 10X ladies. I was doing a lot. I was a realtor. I'm still a realtor.
You're still a realtor.
I still do a lot. Yeah. But I really went through where I could delegate out, where I had an assistant, a nanny. I had all these people around me, so I could be with my kids, or when the kids were just bored and wanted to be with me, I could kind of get them sidetracked with the nanny and off onto some experience or some fun thing or whatever, and they wouldn't miss me much, and then I could do work. So I had different people in place. Hands.
I told you before. I was like, I said I was going to do the same thing.
But that's how I did the balance with them.
But it's a non-negotiable though.
However, yes, now that the kids turned into the teen years, I kind of had this one little upset with Sabrina at one point, and I had just had it. I was like, a light bulb went off, and I'm in the position now where I don't have to do all of this. And I thought, this is my last time with her. And I just got rid of everyone that was like family assistant, nanny, whatever you want to call them. I was like, they're gone, which was devastating to the kids because they love this girl. I tried to transition her over to a different post at the office and all of this because she was so valuable and I really loved her. But I was like, nobody's coming to my house anymore. If the kids want to go play tennis or they want to go to the mall or they want to go, I'm taking them. And so I weaned all of my official duties at the office. I'm off-boarding them all this year, and it's strengthened my relationship with my kids. And I said, that's it. I'm not going to put another via between us during these teen years before they're out of the house. So now they trump all because that is my number one importance. But I will say this for the moms out there, if you're listening to this and you're having some sort of a loss, like you're not in a financial situation to just not have work. I mean, obvious, if you know who I am, you know that we have the financial means to do that. But I want to tell you this, if you can't financially afford to do that, don't diminish yourself. You are also setting a very good example to your kids that you are prioritizing their financial well-being and the legacy of their future and their kids' future by working and making a difference. Get the kids on board with who Team Cardone or your last name is, your mission. We want to help people, like whatever your mission is, get them on board and get agreements that when you have to work and not be there, that they're actually contributing to the big picture by allowing you to do that and helping you whenever they can, and also appreciating the hard work that you're doing for them. It's not like you're leaving them to just go party as a vacation. And that sets a very important message for children that get to see their parents work. It's work ethic. It's not the land of the entitlement. So I'm just saying where I was at because that's where I was at.
No, I appreciate that because I think it's important to have that message too. It's like, we only get 18 years with them, which is, I don't think anybody ever told me in the beginning. I mean, of course they're going to be around, but 18 years where they actually listen to us, come to us, and it's right here where we're responsible for everything, where we're their world in a sense, where they look to us. And then after that, they're going to be making their own decisions and going out and doing things. And now my son just went off to college, finished his first year. My daughter's going off to college. She's going to University of Kentucky. And it's like my turn now, what's next in my life. But while they're here with us, I think that's a beautiful thing that you did
Yes.
that, because it's so, this is it.
This is it. And I wish, honestly, that I had done it sooner. I wish I would have done it when they were a little younger. I feel like I was on my phone too much. I've put policies into place for myself now. I go out to dinner with my kids and my husband. I'm the only one not on the phone, because I won't do it. I'm like, no, when I'm with them, I'm not on the phone. I'm having communication with them.
You're present. We do
but
the thing where we put the phone in the middle.
changed.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. We put the phone in the middle.
That's good.
Once the order's placed, phone goes in the middle, and we play these little games, and we just connect, you know. But until we've ordered the food, they can be on their phone, because I'm not going to be like a total tyrant. But then after that, because they're usually looking, they're like, "Mom, I'm looking at the menu," because it's on the phone, you know, or something, you know. So I had to get around that one. But you know, being present, I think that's great though. That's growth. That's showing what's important. I mean, you were building an empire with Grant, so it wasn't like, you know, you're doing something more extraordinary than regular people. I mean, like the average person out there, because you guys had a big mission. I know when 2008 hit, it was a revamp. You're like, you told me, like, you know, we were making a few million, and then we had to start all over again on what we were doing. And I remember when I met you a few years ago, you said, I had the vision for the billion. And here you are, what you're creating. I mean, that's not a small feat to do. And the things that Grant's like, he wants to do everything. He doesn't. I remember one thing you said too. He doesn't. When he brushes his teeth, he leaves a big mess all over the sink. But you're like, I remember when I was at one of your events and you were saying that. But everything else, he's like got a huge vision. Where you had the vision and you were holding him while he was executing it. And so it wasn't a very small thing that people are doing right now. And time is very valuable. I always say billionaires operate on, or anybody who's at that level. Money loves speed, and success loves speed, and being able to execute and leverage your time and through support and help. I guess it was something that you had to do in order to get where you were, right?
I mean, because I don't know another way.
Right.
I don't know if we would be as far along if we weren't doing what we had already done.
Yeah, and you have, how many millions of family you guys want to impact? I used to ask her how much you want to make, but it was more of like, no, I want to impact.
We want all 7.8 billion people on planet Earth.
Yeah,
that's what we want.
That's huge. I mean,
that's who we want to impact and help.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. So as Elena is stepping into this next level of who she is. I mean, well, before we get to that, I think everybody, this is worthy of a conversation of how she manifested Grant. Even though we've talked about it a lot, I think that I personally love this conversation because I'm manifesting my version of Grant. And one of the things, my girlfriend just interviewed me a couple days ago, and she's like, what's your guy? And I was like, 6'2", you know, beard, dark haired and whatnot. And I remember Elena, when she was talking about manifesting Grant, she's like, I had height there and green eyes, but go on. But she had to give up on those two, obviously. But you know, what else? How did you do it? And just briefly tell us, because I think it's important that people know what they want. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't know what you want, how are you going to get it, right?
Right.
And then sometimes we think we know what we want, and we're not even open to receiving what's right in front of us.
Exactly.
You know.
Well, I wrote a list of over 100 things on a list, and the first two were 6'2" and green eyes, and it was the only two things that didn't. I got everything else on the list.
But wait, you had it on a necklace.
I had it on a necklace because we did like this girl night. And that's what we were doing. That's what girls do at these kind of parties sometimes. So we all wrote it. I wrote the little message, wrapped it up, and you were supposed to wear it on your neck. It was like this little pipe or something. Turned my neck green, by the way, before it finally fell off. But, and you capped it off. But yeah, I had on there like ethically ambitious, loves his mother and sisters if he has them.
That's important. He's got to love his mother, because if he doesn't know how to love a woman, how is he going to love me?
That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
My friends have to like him. I was like, I was very specific. I was like heterosexual. It was very important to me.
Okay, nowadays that is actually important that we put that down. Okay?
I did. I was like, I'm writing down everything.
Mixing, yeah.
You know, yeah.
What about success-wise? What'd you write down? Because look how successful he is.
I wrote for the success because I, kind of had lower havingness back then. You know what you could have in your life, and so I always had.
Because you were the successful person in all your relationships until Grant.
I funded all of my relationships prior to Grant.
So what was the switch for that?
So one of the thing was, as I said, could afford to buy me a Cartier watch.
Let's go.
That was like the biggest thing to me. Like I was almost embarrassed writing that down because it felt so materialistic and greedy. But I wrote that down as a symbol that he was so, abundant that he could do that if he wanted to,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I said house up in the hills, We bought one together. And anyway, so I wrote all these things down. And so what happened for me in that manifestation is I realized, because before that I thought I never wanted a man. And I never thought I wanted to be married, and I never thought I wanted kids. I mean, I thought I wanted kids, but I was always like, that was so far off in the distant future, like it was unreal to me. So when I wrote the list, I realized, I said, wow, like if that guy actually existed, maybe I could actually be with that guy. And I thought, out of all the 7 or 8 billion people on planet Earth, this guy has to be somewhere. But then another epiphany occurred to me, and I said, well, if this guy actually was in front of me right now, what would he write down and on his list of the ideal woman? So then I wrote another list. They were all like done and off, and I stayed there and I wrote another list because that guy wouldn't have wanted me at that time. Because I wrote he would want a woman who would want to be married, monogamous, would want to be having kids, because he was such an honorable and ethical, you know.
Your dream guy.
My dream guy was so like, if he was really like that,
You
then
treated him as if he was real. Like,
yes.
Okay.
So then I wrote from his point of view, not from where I was, because I was still in my late 20s at this time. So I was still going to the clubs and still drinking and still like.
Party Elena.
Yeah, like, you know, no serious committed boyfriend. Like that was just a no-no, you know. So anyway, when I wrote that all in like, she wouldn't be drinking alcohol. She's not a clubber. Like he's not going to want like a club girl. He's going to want like a serious woman who's wants to go have a life and a journey together. And so that's when I started to go, oh, this guy's never going to show up in my life because he'll never see me and I'll never see him because we're just on two different tracks. So from that point, I went, wow, if I want him to actually show up, then I have to be this woman. So then I stopped drinking alcohol. I stopped going to clubs. I started working on myself, like self-enhancement type stuff. I started reading more. I started like really just empowering myself and enriching myself. And Grant came into my life almost immediately.
Everybody said that, by the way. Have you heard? It's like been almost, if you could listen to the episodes, almost immediately.
Almost immediately. But the problem was I hadn't cleaned myself up enough to be able to see him. Because remember, I was looking for 6'2" and green eyes.
Yeah.
I wasn't looking for like, you know, handsome and, you know, powerful.
Grant.
Like Grant, like even though he's shorter than me, and I never thought, that was another thing.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That was another thing. I always thought I wanted to be with a taller guy, hence 6'2".
Because you're tall too.
I'm tall. I'm 5'9", and when I wear heels, I'm like 5'11".
Yeah, you're almost 6.
You know, 5'6".
Yeah.
You know, almost 6 foot.
Yeah.
And so sometimes in the past, I've had these guys like, "You're wearing heels again," like that weren't so tall, and like I don't want to feel like I have to diminish myself. Like I want to just
be powerful,
feel tall, and I like the way it makes me, you know. So I thought I wanted tall because of the guys that had made me feel like I had to be small. Not that I had the issue with shorter guys. It was that they had an issue with me that I had the problem with. So that was really that handled the 6'2", because when I got together with Grant and realized, oh wow, he's like an inch shorter than me, his beingness is so much bigger than that human body that he doesn't ever seem small to me.
Like, no, short
or
to you.
short.
Yeah.
And I never didn't feel like non-feminine, because, you know, sometimes you can get around, like just for me, my physical preferences, I wanted a man that makes me feel, even though I'm taller, like dainty and cute. Like that's
protected.
How I want to feel.
Protected, safe. Yeah.
And sometimes you don't feel that way. You feel like around some guys. And I will never be able to feel around Grant.
No.
I mean, that guy is like got a neck like this. Like he's like a pit bull, you know?
Yeah, he is.
So,
Like
so the 6'2" was all just a consideration that was not important. And
he's so manly. And he's so manly.
He's so manly.
Yeah.
And he's never made a comment about my height or my shoes and I've never felt big, and he's never felt small to me.
I love it. So let's switch gears. The show is called Unapologetically Rich for a reason. And I wanted you on here because you did come from nothing and you've created so much. Both of you and Grant came from nothing. And it's like, I think a lot of people look at, oh, well, look at how successful they are now. But there's got to be a shift in the way you thought about wealth and success in order for you to get here. And I know a lot of people have comments about people, buying a jet, look how they spend their money or what. But I believe, this is what I believe. I believe if it's there, if it exists, why can't I have it? Like why do I have to diminish what I want to make other people happy? And if I want to have this or the other, or be unapologetically rich or show my kids or myself what's possible, why not? I've helped 51 women become millionaires and multimillionaires. And I've helped, 345 women hit their highest cash months. And it's not just about the money, but it's about when you have money, you can do so many amazing things. It's just a tool is how I look at it. And for you, what was your beliefs about money before and what is it now?
Back in my punk rock days, money was like evil, and those were the greedy people and horrible, and capitalism and horrible. So that was, again, another mindset shift that I had to change in myself. Even when you look up the word wealthy, the derivation, the origin of the word comes from the word well plus sign, healthy, healthy. So wealthy means that you're well and you're healthy. It doesn't have evil or greed in it. That's just what you inject into it. And there's going to be bad rich people and there's going to be bad poor people. It's irrelevant to money. It's a tool, like you said. So I really learned a lot about money and finance from Grant, and I've taken some other courses and whatnot. And I just changed my mindset on it. It's like you said, I've worked on being able to have in my life.
Hold more.
I can have things. Like some people can't have a good relationship, so they're in bad relationships. They can't have nice things, so they don't. And then they think they want it, but they don't actually get past their barriers of what they think that hold themselves trapped to that condition. And they make themselves right about whatever that condition is. Like I used to think all men would cheat and hold me back in life. So I casted a whole slew of guys to prove me right, and that men cheat and hold you back just so I could prove myself right. Well, if you think money is greedy and going to make you horrible, then you're going to go and prove all of that to make yourself right. But if you eventually go, okay, money is a tool, it's healthy, I can have nice things. I just used to practice and go, what could I have? I could have the beautiful sky. I could have this table. I don't own this table, but I can have this nice thing in my life. And I started to feel like a greater sense of, because there was a time when I couldn't even afford a Starbucks, but I go, but if you, and then you kind of feel like you can't have and you don't have and you feel less than, but what about the things you can have? And so I would just give myself all the things that I can have. I can have this nice outfit that you have, even though I couldn't at the time. And it allowed my havingness to just kind of grow more for myself.
Love that.
Do you know? So I could actually start having more in my life and creating it. And then getting rid of all of the false ideas and concepts that I had about money and writing them down and saying, what could be the possibility? Could I be open to the possibility that I could actually do good with money? And it's just so much opens up when you can just start changing your viewpoint around money. And it was Grant that brought it to my attention. I used to think the wealthy people were greedy until Grant said, no, the poor people are actually greedy. And I was like, oh, what? How could you say that? And he was like, well, it's true, because they can barely take care of themselves. So for sure they can't take care of me, or they can't take care of their children to the degree that they should, and their partners and their community or anything beyond. So if you look at it like that perspective without the judgment on such a harsh statement, it's true.
It is
and
true.
Wealthy people have more ability to actually be more charitable. And I know a lot of people who are very successful that dedicate their lives to philanthropic work. I mean, these people are doing really good things. So I've just changed my mindset on that.
You said something that was so amazing. You're like, you looked at what other women or other people had, and you open the door of possibility of what you could have instead of being jealous or comparing or saying something about what they like. I feel when people comment on how people use their money, it's like you don't believe you can have it too.
Right.
Like when you
and here's the thing, like you were saying, like being able to have without the fear of judgment. What I've learned over the years is they might act all critical or say one thing, but any single one of them, given the opportunity, would never turn it down.
100,
Ever.
absolutely.
Ever. Never,
They'd be like,
never.
"Hey."
They would be like, that's right.
Yeah.
Like, Lotto, I'm down.
Yeah,
Like, if you were given a
exactly.
Lamborghini, they'd keep it. They would be excited. They hated the Lambo the week before, but now that they were
Given
gifted
one.
now they love it. And
Yeah, it's because I think it's just a false belief that they've assigned to it.
Yeah.
I say whatever you assign meaning to becomes law. So if you think it's bad, then you're gonna repel it. But if you decide it's good, which you said I can have it, then you get to have it. Like you did a lot of work on your mindset because I've talked to you about it a lot, and you said I had to change the way I looked, the lens that I grew up with, the lens that I was seeing through. I had to change it if I wanted to expand what I had in my life, and I think a lot of people aren't committed to that the way that they should be, because I don't think any of us are super special. I think it's just that we create we find our special in us, or extraordinary, because we work at it every day. You're not a woman who gets up and is lazy. You have regiment of how you do things. You're committed to who you want to be every single day. You wake up with this version of yourself, but you're not somebody who just expects the world to give it to you.
Oh God.
And you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
I know. That's not happening. I mean, not for me.
No, but
maybe I need to change my mindset on that and be like, start coming to me like that. Okay, I'm going to rework this.
But I feel like that's important for people to understand. Like, you had to work on being unapologetic about the things that you wanted, because if you literally allowed other people to tell you what you could have.
I did that for far too long.
A lot of people do.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to change.
Because
tell them
you
why.
only have, let me go back to one other thing to comment on. When you were talking about mindset, and some people aren't willing to do that, I say this all the time. What are you willing to give up in order to get where you want to go?
That's
and
it.
Sometimes that requires your old mindset.
You got to change your identity.
Your old behaviors.
Yes.
Yeah. And then what was this last thing that you said?
It was, hold on.
Geez.
Hold on. No, we were going to do this. It was about shifting out of your mindset, but then what do you have to give up? Anybody else? Can they
And then thinking about judging, or?
Yeah, judgment. So when you wanted to get to your next level, if you allowed other people's judgment to affect you, then would you have been able to be unapologetic of all the things you want? I know when Grant probably got a jet and he got his helicopter, or his yacht or whatever, people would make comments, but he's like, I don't care. Like, I love that attitude, because I think if you allowed people to put their smallness on you, you'll stay small and you won't go bigger in your vision with anything in life. And money just happens to be something that can bring us the things that we desire, want to enjoy, amplify our life, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've got 90 years approximately on this lifetime. I don't know if you believe on whatever you believe in.
I do believe in other lifetimes.
This life, you have 90 years, which isn't really a lot.
No.
And so, if you look at the scheme of things as eternity, like as a spiritual being, like you've probably, whether you lived in heaven or wherever before, you've lived a long time because you're a spiritual being, if you believe that.
I believe that.
And, the energy can't be created or destroyed. It is, right? And so you're probably going to live a long time in the future for eternity too, whether it's more lives or in heaven or whatever. So in this little slice of 90 years and the big scheme of things, I always remind myself, I'm like, does this really matter? Is this worth getting upset about? Am I even going to remember this in 200 years from now? Where will I be? Will I care that? So I try to let that stuff go and not worry about what people think about me or whatnot. And I'm playing my game and my rules. I'm hitting another level in my life right now.
Oh, talk to me about it.
Oh, shoot,
Tell
girl.
us.
It is so powerful. I don't even know if I can describe it, but I'm going to try my best.
Yes.
Because I'm learning different levels of the game. And I'm going to another level right now. And I'm
I am
in the middle of learning this other level that I have to master. I feel like, oh my God, it's so much. But I feel like there's a game of life. I just watched a show called $1 Million Secret, or something like this. It was this reality show that I saw with my daughter. It was amazing because they're playing this game for this $1 million. And anyway.
Wait, when they had it in a box?
Yes.
Yeah.
What was that called? $1 million something.
And then they had to do like these certain things to like, I forget the name of it, but I did see that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're playing the game.
Yeah.
They all know they're playing a game.
We had to sing a song. We had to get somebody to
get,
Yeah.
You get
the clue.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a great
and they got elimination.
show.
Yeah, they got eliminated at the end.
Good.
Yeah, it was so good. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I saw it.
We won't tell you who won.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. We're playing in a game of life. Right? There's barriers, there's rewards, there's freedoms, there's overcoming known obstacles to achieve a goal.
Yes.
So that game, you had to overcome known obstacles, which are all your other opponents, to achieve a goal, right? They were known. But if you don't know the obstacles and you don't know the game, you're playing in a game that you're actually being manipulated in. Because imagine if you were playing in that game that I just told you about from the show, but you didn't know the rules of the game, you didn't even know you were in a game, then you would be manipulated by all those other people in the game that would just crush you because you didn't even know you were playing.
Which happened to other people. I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But they even knew.
Yeah, true.
But most people, I feel like, don't realize they're playing a game of life. So you're being played by the people that realize that they're in a game.
Yeah.
Then you wake up and you go, wait a minute, this is the game of life. And I have these goals and these dreams and da-da-da-da. And then you start being aware that you're playing a game, but now you're in it, but you don't know who to trust, who not to trust.
Who's your opponent or
That's
what's
right,
going on.
because,
Right.
And then you wake up and you go, oh, wait, now I'm playing a game and there's actually opponents and I might not know who my opponent is or who's playing me or not playing me. So there's all these other games within the levels of the game. And now I feel like I'm hitting a point in my life where now I understand the rules. I'm knowing more of the game. I'm understanding how to play the game. I'm becoming a little less manipulated. But I've only learned that because I have been so manipulated. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So this next level, because I feel like you're a powerful woman. I would say I'm a powerful woman. There's a lot of powerful women out there, but there's always this next level for us.
The next
like,
level.
when Stormy was on the show, she's like, Shamina, I got 100 days and there's a next Stormy that's being coming out. And I feel like this is a season for us of what's next for us. Like, where are we going? And you said you're unlocking this next level of Elena, and I feel like I'm doing it too. What does it feel like? And when you're embraced with knowing that there's this version of you that's coming, that's going to change the whole identity of who you are now? Like, what internally is happening with you right now? Because it's a shift of like, I'm leaving this old version, which I love, and I knew who she was and embodied, but now I'm coming into my next level of what I'm going to do and who I'm going to be in this world, And I feel like since my kids are going to college, I am embracing that next for me, but I would love to hear how you operate and what's going on with you with it.
Well, I'm just back into training mode, and so I'm
working on yourself.
I'm working on myself. I'm doing some incredible things with my church.
Oh wow!
So like different levels. It's actually called Class 5. I'm training to become Class 5, which is. It's not something I can explain here, but it's really awesome, incredible. It's going to help me and has helped me big time with handling people and confront in situations and really understanding personalities, tone levels, just understanding that. So I did another course. I just finished this huge course. It's called How to Confront and Shatter Suppression. So I won't go into all this because there's other things I'm doing too, like meeting people and getting on very important comm lines, communication lines, in the government, behind the scenes, with bills. Like, I want to have like a behind the scenes real influence for change for the better.
You want to make a big impact out there.
I want to make a big impact, but I have to understand people, and you have to understand tone levels. So most people don't understand tone levels if you don't study what I'm studying at my church, which is tone levels. There's different tone levels. Whether you know they exist or they don't exist is only a matter of you knowing a game or not knowing a game, but they exist. It's not like L. Ron Hubbard just made something up that's not like true. It's true. Like, you can go like, say, I won't give you the number, but it's 4.0. 4.0 is a tone level of enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is real enthusiasm for life, and it comes with very specific behavioral characteristics. They handle responsibility very well. They're not slipshod. They handle communications very well. a person in enthusiasm, you could tell them a good piece of information and one bad piece of information, but they're going to forward to the next person the good information. They're going to leave out the bad information because they don't forward bad information. There's different behavioral characteristics with different tone levels. When you come down the tone scale, right below that, cheerful, still very good, right? Then you come into conservatism. Don't think Republican, like conservatives,
Yeah, right.
you know, they're analytical, they're this or that. Then you come down, and I'm not going to go in order, but I'm going to start jumping down. But then you would come down into mild, strong interest, mild interest, boredom, monotony, like you see the person at the DMV and they're like, snacks, they're in monotony. You can start to see tone levels.
You're learning how to read people really well.
But everything that goes along with them, health, what you can expect from their health, how they're going to handle communication, how they're going to handle written communication, how they're going to treat other people. When it gets really bad, when they get into below 2.0, 2.0 is antagonism, and there's very specific characteristics with that. Then you come lower, covert, hostile. What does that look like? It's covert, but it's hostile. So it looks like, hey, how are you? But they're stabbing you in the back. You know, you got an insult, but you don't know that you just got an insult. But then you leave,
people.
and then you 1-1. They're called 1-1, covert, hostile. It's safer to sleep with an adder, which is a poisonous snake, than to be friends with a 1-1.
100%.
And everything that they do will turn towards their decisions will all be towards destruction. But they can mask themselves as these great characters and charismatic, and they can have all the social veneer of, that's how they escape with this stuff. But underneath it all is very insidious. And what they will do with communication, if you tell them something great, they're actually going to twist it and make it worse and forward bad. And they're going to have gossip sessions, and they're going to lie, and they're going to cheat. And they're very you don't want to trust those people around your kids. Because they've got very strange sexual behavioral patterns. And so different levels, as you go down, it gets worse and worse into terror, to fear, to grief, to apathy, to body death. Those are tone levels. So that's an example of stuff that I'm doing right now, is to really be able to identify who I'm around, who's let in, who I do business with. Because we've made a lot of mistakes in the past not knowing this information.
I look at a level of consciousness too. It's kind of different, but spirituality, like just how awakened someone is or how much work they've done internally. There's a scale of it, that David Hawkins has a scale where he's like, people who are enlightened or they're doing the great work in the world, like Buddha or whoever you identify with. And
there's an awareness scale.
An awareness scale. And so it goes down, and people who are, angry or the apathy or lower on the scale, it's just their behavior, where they are, how much spiritual human development that they have done, and will determine where they are on this scale. I live by this, but it's just a little different than what you're doing, but it's a lot of internal work I had to do and healing for me to be able to identify that in other people and who I want to lock arms with or connect with or collaborate with, because not everybody's out there trying to see you win, but I had you on here because it was like and the women that I've been very selective and curative of people who are coming on, because to me, it's like I feel like I have a duty to the women that I lead in the audience that comes to me, or whoever might cross my path, that at least I'm putting out information or something that she can take and go do something valuable with it in her life, and I feel like that's because I had a mess, I made a message, and it's important to share it and empower other women in the world. And, while we're doing this work, your daily practices, have they changed at all? Are you doing, aside from this work, are you doing anything different though? Like, are you still hitting the boxing? Are you still doing the?
I want to get back into that. I have that has taken a back seat.
That was your thing, is shooting guns?
My thing.
Or just somewhere where I know
competition shooting. No, I don't. I have sacrificed that to do more of the stuff that we have been doing. But I still love that. That is like.
Well, I knew that was the thing that lit you.
Jam,
it would light you up.
I love that.
Yeah,
it does light me up. I love it.
Well, hopefully you will start going back into doing something like that. Before we wrap up, I think your relationship with Grant, because I'm looking for my dream guy. Well, he's going to be finding me. I'm still open to receiving. But what are some of the things when you're creating a power couple together? Obviously it's not always perfect. What are some things that you feel like maybe the 3 things to overcome in a relationship that are important to creating that power couple? Like there's women right now that want a man who's going to totally support them, and the men out there who want women to really support who they're becoming. But I feel like there's, like you said in the beginning, there was a lot of friction of I remember one time when I was on your podcast, you asked me a really important question. Do you want a man that's going to come in and be behind the scenes like a Stedman and support you? Or do you want a man who's already developed and he's already doing his mission work and you guys are going to work together? And I had to sit and pause to make that answer because it was one of those things I had to think about. And it was the latter of the two, because I really do want a man who knows what he wants in the world at this stage of my life, right? But what do you think that are, maybe, and there's more than three, but three things that women can, listening, that are looking to have that Grant and Elena relationship, because you are such a full support of your husband, but I also think you're like a corrector of him too. Like, hey, Grant, like, come on, right? Like, I'm back.
I'm adjusting in that too.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to be so corrections officer, only when it's like really vital, or if I can share my viewpoint from a place of like, hey, I think it could benefit other people for you to do it like this or like that, take it or leave it. So I've done big changes recently in the last kind of year, maybe two, in our relationship. Because as we've evolved to the next level stuff, I'm like, okay, let's rework and revamp where we're going and how we're doing it. So, because, I didn't realize that when I was doing that, like, of course, I have a different viewpoint. I was like always trying to make him better. But for him, I think it made him feel like I didn't trust him or what he was doing, or kind of, I don't know, somehow it didn't feel good.
Like a doubting of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I never saw that viewpoint until he said that. But getting back to and that's why I'm like, okay, I can have that.
There's a whole evolution going on with you right now.
There's a big evolution.
I love
because
that.
Where I'm going on the next level is big.
Did you already see it?
Oh yeah. See, because
Did you get the vision first, and then I'm all over the place?
Yeah, I have the vision first. I got the vision first. I got the vision a few years ago.
Okay.
And then I had a meeting with all of the executives and Grant, and I assigned them all a book first. And then I was like, what are we doing? Where are we going? And then I told Grant the vision, and I was like, this is it. Like,
have you shared the vision publicly?
Yeah.
What is the vision?
Okay, so the vision is there's 12 seats at the table. I don't know if we'll ever make it in there, but the vision is I want Grant to be at the table. There's the 12 families that control the United States, and probably about 20 that control the world. So it's pretty hard and unrealistic table to sit at, because they do have it pretty cornered off. It's pretty guarded. But the vision is, okay, I want Grant to be, and myself, but Grant's the guy he's the pawn on the chessboard. I'm like, go do it. But my vision is I want him to be at the seat. Like who really has the global influence to actually either put a bit of ethics at that table, and to be able to make a difference for the better, to maybe hammer out of existence some of what's going on, or at least put enough good, positive, spin on it that it trickles down. So ever since I made that decision that he's going to have a seat at the table, I'm like, we have to rework everything. Wow. We can't just be billion. It has to be tens of billions.
And you can't ignore it because it's so loud in your...
Oh, no, it's done.
Yeah.
Like the have, that picture's already created. And this is my biggest successful action, is I live from the future, not the past. So
you've always said that.
That was one of the biggest mind shift changes I had when I was having my come to Jesus moment, where I was deciding, when I was trading in my career to go do Grant, I had the vision that we're going to be $1 billion, we're going to have this global world travel, we're going to have the kids and the this and the that. Well, that happened. So now what? The new vision, which might take 10 years, a decade, I don't know, but that's the picture. And it's got, so now you have the picture. I wear the beingness as if it is already that, while I take the steps to becoming the person that I need to be, that's gone through all of these experiences with the partners, with the woman, the best friend that steals 2.3 million.
You're acting like her now, though.
I'm acting like her now, but I'm taking the steps now. That's why I listen to about 30 to 40 books on audio every single year. I read books as well. I'm taking those courses. I'm training. I'm nonstop. I'm speaking at gigs. I'm meeting political figures.
Just this morning you went to this morning.
Governor DeSantis signed a bill for It's called the Trooper. I don't know if you remember this, but there was a dog that made the news who was chained to a chain link fence during the middle of the last hurricane, and he was going underwater, and a trooper, a police officer, pulled over and unchained him and saved his life, and he got adopted by a great family, and they named him Trooper because of the story. And the people that chained him up, this cruelty, this abuse to animals, they passed a law today. Governor DeSantis signed it into law that if you restrain an animal during an emergency disaster, it's now a felony. So you can spend 5 years in jail. So they're cracking down. So they signed two bills, and so that's where I was.
Just a regular Wednesday
just
for Elena.
Regular Wednesday.
And
but I've been going to Capitol Hill, and there's some other things, some agendas that I have that I won't talk about, but I'm trying to get past. So anyway, that's who I want to be. And
you work on her every day, and you take the action. But your vision, you see the vision of yourself already in the future.
Oh yeah,
it's
and
done.
Grant. I'm like, Grant, you don't have you don't. It's funny to me. Like someone's like, do you have Grant's agreement on this? And I'm like, I don't need Grant's agreement on this. It's done. It's done. Like he just, I don't. That's nothing. Forget it.
Yeah.
That's done. Like,
it.
I just have to plant the seeds and encourage. And so now even the entire company's made a big shift.
How does someone expand though to get to that level though? Is it just the books? Is it the training, or is it something inherent that you just knew you have inside of you that you were not, you're like, because you said, I did the things, I did this. And it's like, I think a lot of people play a little smaller than what they can do. And empowering women is one of my greatest things, of like the capacity of what anybody could bring to this world. I feel like if you expand what you can do, the goodness and the greatness that comes from that is immense, So what's one little tip that you can give? Maybe not one little tip, or something you can say, like, what's going to expand someone when they're listening? Like, I want to do what Elena's doing, but sometimes I fear it. Or I know you have non-negotiables because you're like, this is just done, right? But maybe somebody hasn't gotten there yet, of that future version of herself that she wants to embody and create.
I would say create the picture first. Live from the future. When I lived from the past, every stumbling block that I would encounter, because the future hadn't ever happened, would be like, see, that doesn't work, and it would pull me back. And you
did that for a while.
I lived my whole life like that. Everyone, of course, knows you live your life from your past, your present, to your future. Like, that's sanity. What are you talking about? You live from the future. But if the woman that is experiencing that goes, I'm afraid, that's not real, you create the picture, and then you wear the beingness that you already are. You don't go out ethics by spending on things that you can't afford because your future self is a millionaire. That's not what millionaires do. They're smart with money.
Right.
Like, I'm talking about the beingness. The beingness is, okay, well, you have no money, but you're about to lose a big job of some money, and you want to go into crises mode, and then you want to go drink or do drugs or this or that because you're a total failure, and it leads you down this. But if you wear the beingness of that person who's a billionaire, you think to yourself, okay, in 5 years, if I was really a billionaire, would I look back at this moment and would it affect me? You go, no, I wouldn't care. So that's the beingness. Okay, no, I wouldn't care. What would I do instead? I'd call 10 other people. Oh God, what if they hang up on me? But if you were a billionaire, would you care if they hung up on you? You'd be like, or you wear the beingness that, of course, they're going to take my call. Like, you just own it, and then things shift around you. And then, okay, I learned my lesson. I learned this, but why don't I have 10 jobs in the pipeline? So when I lose this one, you're like, oh, thank God, I couldn't even get to that, Like, what do you have to do different? So create the have, and then reverse engineer. What do I have to do in order to pull that picture from the future to your present self now? Forget about the past. Just use that to help yourself going forward.
It's data.
It's data. That's it. So now every stumbling block, I'm in a case right now where my ex-best friend stole $2.3 million from me. It's humiliating. It's mortifying. It's devastating. It makes me never want to trust anyone again. It hurts my feelings.
Your circle is really small too. I know with you, you're like, Shamina, I don't have.
It's so small.
You're like, I don't bring everybody in because you're like, I don't have time for friends that are just friends.
Right.
You've always said that, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I ended the friendship in 2020, and then the things started happening in 2021. I didn't, know what was happening. It's
still going on right now.
She just got arrested for 19 felonies, so she's got to, we have to. It's alleged.
Friend from Louisiana, or like?
No, I met her along the way, and I'm convinced now that I was actually a mark the whole time, like I was a total con job. So anyway, the point to all of that is you could look at that and go, well, you could be jaded and then screw it, I'm never going to do anything again, or you could be like, oh God, that's devastating, or you could go, I had to learn that in order to stretch myself to becoming the new person. And now the new person, I understand now different tone levels. I understand the game, I'm so I can, so I feel like now that I've become more responsible, I can actually have friendships and trust those friendships because of the experiences that I've gone through. Everything is just a tripping forward to get where you have to go.
I love that, a tripping forward, because you're going to trip, but it's moving you forward. So if you just allow yourself to trip, you're going to keep going forward.
Yeah.
But if you don't move, you're not going to be tripping forward or anywhere, going anywhere, right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And not only that, but I look at like some of the bad things that have happened to us, some of those people have issued apology letters and stuff. That's just.
I did see some things happen in a little recently.
Yeah, those don't feel good. And what you don't know is that those things sometimes are brewing for a couple of years, and you have to be quiet while they're chirping, and it sucks, and people are trying to threaten your reputation, and it's hard. It takes a toll. And
because you're a public figure out there.
Yeah.
You put yourself out there. When you put yourself out there, it comes with all kinds of things, but you got to be willing to put yourself out there and allow those things to happen, because if you don't, then how will you get to the next?
To the next level?
Yeah.
I know. Well, we just made a decision that we're just two little people from Louisiana, and if we ever made it, we made a pact with each other that we weren't going to close the curtain, and we would share all of our successful actions as well as some of the hits that we've had to take. And you can either learn from us, grow from us. That's what's so exciting about like the plane and the helicopter and these sort of things. Those are the Super Bowl rings of life. Those are the trophies. That's how you can say, wow, I'll never have an opportunity unless I own a football team to have a Super Bowl ring. I'm never going to play as a football player. I can never have one of those. But I can have other things and rewards in life. And the thing is many of the hits that you see, those are symbols. The plane to me is a symbol of not only all the things that we've done right, but how many things we've avoided by doing them, by not doing them. So the couple that have leaked through, the girl that's going to have to go face her day in court, and whether she's convicted or not will be determined. But all of those, or some of the things that you're talking about where they've issued apology letters, those are the ones that seep through. But what about the 100 that didn't get to come through because we were smart enough and aware enough and knew enough? Do you know what I'm saying?
It's growth. Like,
that's right.
I mean,
so you can measure the success, but part of that plane is also a symbol of how many things that you can never see because it didn't happen, because the bad thing was avoided. That's what I'm trying to say.
I love that, because that's at the end of the day, that's you being unapologetic about all the wealth and all the things that you've done in your life. Like you still got to that next level, and it didn't come easy though, but it came with learning and figuring out the path of how you're going through it. And you're at this next level that I can't wait to see. The world of what Elena's going to do. I mean, I see your heart. You are, even though people might know Elena as being someone who's so successful and she's got this lavish life, I feel you and I connect with you because you care. You care so much about people and women. You wouldn't be here today if you didn't care.
That's true.
And that's why I feel like that's a side of you that you're just a girl. And you're just a girl, just like the rest of us, and you're humanizing. And this next level is your heart coming out into the world of what you want to bring, because you've done all the things now. So it's like, what's next, kind of thing.
And I'm so glad that you see that and say that. And thank you for that acknowledgement. And part of it is it isn't just for me. I really feel like That's why I told Grant and the team, I'm like, it's not about $1 billion now. It's about tens of billions. It's about world influence. I have to push myself bigger than I could have thought so that someone else who is just like me can see that and go, I can have that. And even if they don't hit, maybe their desire isn't to be doing, but even if they come up a little and have a little more confidence and a little more competency and a little more happiness and achieve a goal or, or learn from a win, but fall forward and get up with your bloody knees and continue to go forward. Like, that's really why I'm doing the things that I'm doing now. It's like I am on a mission for the last half of my life of how much of a difference we can make in the world for others to like come up.
Same.
Just come up. Like,
Be an uplifter.
I feel like there's a lot of subliminal messages that want to keep you small, that want to keep you held down, that want to keep you suppressed, for a lot of agendas that we are not aware of because we're not aware of all the games that are being played. And so if I can help lift that suppression off of us, then that's what I'm going for now.
I feel that from you, and I feel I'm in the same mission, but different maybe vehicle of how we're getting there. And I hope that some of you that are listening, you have some inspiration, but you are going to go do something about it as well. Like don't take the information, go do something and embody it. Is there anything that you're promoting right now, or you want people to come find you?
Oh man, the most exciting thing there's so many exciting things, but if you say everything, no one will do anything.
You're absolutely right. You gotta pick one thing.
One thing.
Because confused minds don't take action.
That's
right.
They don't. And there's a lot of great things in the works, but the most pressing for me, and one of the most exciting events that I do every year is 10X Ladies.
Okay.
And that's coming up August 15th and 16th in Miami. It's about 1,000 women. Last year, I had some incredible speakers. I have incredible speakers every year.
Amazing.
So I'm starting to lock in on those speakers right now. And if you are interested in a life-changing event, then go to 10xladies.com and get your ticket and just be in the room around other powerful women and learn some applicable data that can really help lift you to a heightened level of success. It's really women supporting women, but men show up too. So I don't want to exclude the guys. And it's not like such a girly event that guys feel out of place or not appreciated there. More and more men attend every single year, and they're like, this should really be opened up to men too, because
they need the work too.
They love it.
No, I agree.
They love it. So,
I agree.
But I do have it called 10X Ladies. And because I have a place special for my ladies out there.
Yeah, we will definitely. My book is called Unlocking the Quantum Woman, and men reading it too. So and men are actually listening to this podcast too. Unbelievable that they do.
I love that.
Yeah, so
Me
it's
too.
just helping them out. So Elena, you have a special place in my heart, and I absolutely love that you made the trip here today and you shared your message. Is there one last thing you want to tell everybody before we tune off today, aside from that?
Just go. If you think you can build an empire, then you can and you must. So the world needs more powerful women. So go build an empire and share your greatness with the world, because it desperately needs you.
Desperately.
Yeah. Go. I need you.
Right. Me too. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. We need it. Thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah,
I really
thanks for
appreciate
having
it.
me.
This was amazing.
You're amazing.
You're amazing.
Thank you.
I love you.